Welcome back to another episode of Toon Talk TV, the top animated podcast on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, be sure and like, follow, and subscribe so we can know what we're doing good and what we're doing bad. Today, we brewed up a nice little episode for you guys. We got the creators of Whatever What that will be coming on later on the pod. Before that, be sure and visit the Patreon, patreon.com/wearethetelevision. Got some pretty cool stuff up there. By the time this episode airs, it might be jolly season. Boys, we got any big plans for December?
Just waiting for all my fun presents. I can't even wait.
Oh, I got a bunch of presents underneath the Christmas tree too. So
Do you really? Why
I
do you already
I
have
do.
presents under your Christmas tree?
because
Wilma already got
loves me,
presents
dude.
for you?
Wilma loves
Oh,
me. That's
man.
why.
No one loves me. No one loves me, man.
I hope all those presents are filled with coal, dude. Just one after the other. Just, what? Another box of coal? Don't even have a fireplace. Anyhow, let's just fucking kick it off. Here are the guys from Whatever What. And we're back with Toon Talk TV. We have before us the group that is Whatever What. Jared, Danny, thank you guys for being on the show.
Hello, thank you.
Start things off pretty easy. What's your podcast background? You guys been on a few pods before? Hosted any? What's going through your mind right now?
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yeah, I think the closest we ever got to that is like just doing radio plays. But that's
We would do a lot of like radio drama stuff, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but that's nothing like this.
Well, again, we are glad to have you guys on the show. I'm going to start with this because I say if you listen to the pod where we talked about your guys' shorts, I was 1,000% sure. Mick was 1,000% sure that you guys were giving us some made up fucking names. Jared Wangenstein.
Oh, this is going to be the
Daniel
best.
Broderick.
Yes,
like
Those are movie
who are we
star
hiding
names.
from? Those are movie star names. Those aren't real names.
I would love to blow your mind on this.
All
So
right.
my name is real, and Jared's name is real, but there is one thing. You are mispronouncing his last name, and it's so much better. It's actually
Okay,
Wangenstein.
Oh, dude, that's
Wangenstein.
better. Dude,
that is way better.
Nice.
That is way better.
Oh my god! what you guys are
I
talking
didn't want to
about.
correct anyone. I wasn't going to correct anyone.
Oh,
I'm not a
man.
stickler about it.
Yeah,
The Wang Man, dude.
yeah.
Yeah,
The Wang Man.
Dude.
it is a long name, and luckily I've been saying it for so long that I can pronounce it correctly at this point, but most people can't. It's
That's good.
Watching people read my license and panic is fun. 'Cause everybody's just like,
He's gotten out of a lot of
like,
tickets.
yeah, they just don't want to offend you.
That's good.
Well, can you guys tell us a little bit about Whatever What? What is it? What do you guys consider it, and what do you want it to be?
Okay, it's everything. No, basically, it's just like, cartoons are hard, and initially when we were starting to do it, it was like trying to keep up with any kind of like a typical release schedule on YouTube, which is just brutal for somebody just shooting live action is impossible. Animation, I don't know how people do it, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it was like initially like in its conceit is like, hey, Jared and I work well together. We add a lot to each other's stuff. We kind of keep each other in like, we have like complementary attributes kind of a thing, but also for both releasing animations, we can kind of stagger them back and forth a little bit. So the idea was just to kind of like do a little bit of that, just to kind of join forces, so to speak. Because we were already doing stuff together, and it was like Jared started getting into the animation stuff a little bit after me, and it was like, let's just do our own channel and just like join efforts here, so it's not independently trying to make these things work or whatever. We can just silo all of our like resources together.
So what you're telling me is there stuff before Whatever What that you guys have out on YouTube on like solo channels?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You do.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
why don't you tell us what those are? I'd love to see like your first tries, basically.
Yeah. Initially, my first thing that I did was a thing called Trash Planet. It was like these little kind of like slice of life sci-fi shorts about people living just in an absolute dump, more or less. So I did a few of those, and we would I submitted them to Channel 101, and we
Nice.
sold that. And then when we sold that, we wanted to kind of do a story.
Yeah, that's kind of like when we started working together, is because Danny had already done these 3, and then someone was interested in it and wanted to do a story, and then we've already been swapping stories for so long that's kind of where I got involved.
Yeah.
So wait, you sold a cartoon?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Can we talk about that? I've never done that. I want to hear about it. That sounds amazing.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, it was a strange thing because it kind of do you guys know about Channel 101?
Yeah, we've
Yes.
been on
Yeah.
it a few times.
Okay, so I submitted to that I don't know, it's been a little while now.
2018, I think.
Yeah, something like that. And basically I submitted to there because I just heard about it through some friend, who was maybe telling me about Dan Harmon's Story Circle stuff or whatever, and told me about
Yeah.
Channel 101, and I didn't know anything about it. I looked into it and saw that it was still accepting submissions. And so I made these little cartoons just trying to figure things out. And I realized my friends are really good friends, but they're not going to give me, I couldn't trust the feedback they were giving me.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's just send it off here and I'll find out if it sucks, kind of a thing. And then I don't remember, a person named Alana bought it, and they ended up, she was working at a place called AOK. So, which was awesome because we released there, we sold it there, and we can talk more about the details of that. But we released it, and then shortly thereafter, Joe Bennett released a cartoon on the same platform, kind of a thing.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, this is both really awesome what we learned about Joe Bennett then, and deeply boy, is he good. Boy, do I got some.
It did help going back into his catalog and realizing he'd been doing it for about a decade longer than us at that point.
Yeah.
Because that dude has a stacked catalog
Yeah,
of really good stuff.
Dude, we just talked about his shit.
I watched the interview this morning, so it's fresh on mine.
Yeah.
So sticking on that subject of kind of stories and building out characters, you guys actually have a pretty fantastic character, Coach No Bull. And there's just something about that. And I want you guys to kind of talk a little bit about your process of making characters, and specifically, is Coach No Bull based on a real person? And what are your guys' ideas around creating characters based off real people versus making them from scratch? Jared, you go first.
So Coach No Bull we just got done with a really long pitch process with Hoos, which is something that is also something that we did together. And we were like, let's just put it out on YouTube after no one bought it. Big bummer, but the fact that we were able to get in the room is really cool. So we were like, okay, let's put it on YouTube. Let's maybe try to do more shorts and get our names out there a little bit more. And so Coach No Bull was gonna be this. It was the pitch to Danny was basically a guy that is really insecure, but he like puts on a front, but his life's falling apart. Like he tries to act like everything's okay,
That's me.
but his life.
That's Mick every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's just something that like Danny and I both like relate to, especially this is a new space for us. We're constantly learning new things, and like we want to appear like we have everything together, especially in the animation world. But behind the scenes, it's a lot of us like figuring it out for the first time and like, falling apart when it doesn't work. So putting a little bit of that into him. But basically I sent that to Danny and he was like, this is fun, but like, let's play with it a little bit more. And then that's when it kind of spun out of control and got way, 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 way cooler to me. I love it.
I want to get back to Lost in Transmission later on, but you mentioned Hoos. And I that was the first thing that I saw on the Whatever What channel. So I feel like that has such series potential. Like I feel like that's I mean,
Thank
you guys, you're talking about selling these cartoons a lot. Is it even an option for you guys to just go at it and make the series yourself, opposed to selling it and hoping that it gets funded for a bigger project?
That's tough.
I think it's a tall order. I mean, animating stuff, something like that. I think that's also like Jared and I. We like the idea of like when Jared and I like tend to like write these ideas. Like Lost in Transmission was such an anomaly because like sometimes we'll just like start with this little idea. I mean, you're not even really. We'll start with like a little idea, and especially because Jared and I no longer even live in the same state, we'll just talk for hours and we'll just kick an idea around and kind of become really bigger than we intended it to be, kind of a thing. And then like the act of like doing something like, you know, say Who's, like we put a lot into it. We have like a whole season of that. We have tons of characters and all this stuff that we put together. But the act of actually doing it is like, it's such a arduous and such a long process that you're kind of having this monogamous relationship with this one thing. And the amount of effort that it would take to kind of do it, I just know that I'd be like, I want to do something else. Like, let's try other things. So we'll write these things and we'll enjoy like the writing kind of aspect of it and like the exercise of writing these bigger things. But we'll typically do kind of like proof of concept ideas, and then we'll come back to it if it feels right. But a lot of times when we get done with like a big project, we're like, let's see what's going on else. You know, what's going on outside? Let's try something else.
Right. Yeah.
So, well, first of all, to keep going with that Who's, I died when the father character came in there and started talking. That was one of the funniest things. But then second of all, as an animator, and I think a lot of animators or cartoon creators would like to hear this as well. I know how to make a cartoon. I know how to put it out. I know how to show people it. But if you're trying to sell a cartoon, from your experience, what do you do after you make the cartoon? What's your first step?
Be lucky. I mean, we literally, it's the same people that we sold Trash Planet to. The person that bought it left, and the person that took over that person's position, we've just been in contact with. So it's really just like outstanding luck kind of a thing. That is like, we're flirting, we're kissing luck kind of a thing. Nothing's really come of it, but we have somebody to like show to
who believes
that
in us.
has like connections kind of a thing. But that's it. Like, you know, Jared and I, we don't know anybody else. Like, we don't know anybody else in the animation world. We don't know anybody else that's doing like, we kind of came onto this stuff pretty late in life as like a cool, like, this is what we want to do. We always wanted to do something like it, but we were always a little bit like nervous. Like, I don't want to do that and look like an absolute idiot.
So I'm interested. You guys say not in the same state anymore. Did you guys just start out as friends, not doing animation together?
Yeah. We met each other in high school, like basically because of the music scene that we were in. And to give context, we're both in our mid-30s, so like this is forever. We've been friends forever. So it started with music, and then shared a love for that, but then also comics, similar TV stuff, and then as our friends like started relocating or staying in the same area, we both went from the small town that we grew up in to Portland, which is the smallest city ever, but bigger than where we were, and just kept like messing around with music mostly until probably like 7 years ago, like focused a lot more on story stuff.
Yeah.
That's funny. I feel like that's
literally
the same thing for us. Yeah.
Really?
Mirrored version.
What do you guys play? Like music wise, like what instruments, what kind of music?
I play guitar mostly. I fiddle in other things, but let's not kid ourselves. And mostly I've played like things that have been like hardcore adjacent type of things.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. Now whenever I touch something, it's always with a MIDI controller, always going through like Reason or Logic or something like that. The last time I think Danny and I stopped playing live shows around the same time, and I was like 21 years old or something like that.
And we started moving toward more like score type of stuff. So now we're writing more like atmospheric, ambient, or things that kind of like are more befitting, you know, a companion piece for like an animation kind of thing.
Yeah, everything serves these projects.
So do you it looks like you guys are switching roles a lot on at least the few projects that I've seen in whatever what, like, do one of you guys take a stab at the animation while the other one takes a stab at the audio, or directing or writing? Like, how does that work?
So that's really based off of whose idea was like first. So if Danny has an idea, so for instance, like Who's was something completely different when Danny started. It started with a couple of drawings and then a really rough script that wasn't even close to what it ended up being. And then we start kicking that around. But since it's Danny's, like, his, you know, thought baby, you know, he is going to animate it. So that's how we decide, like, who's animating. It's just like, who started the thought, like, of this? But we write everything together. Audio is basically, I try to take that responsibility on, and then we have some people that will help with the scoring for the most part. And then Danny and I will just go back and forth on animating just based off of the project. But I think audio is for the most part in my domain. Danny will jump in with like scoring ideas or like mostly like notes around like sound effects. Like, this would be really cool if this happened like right here. So, but everything is like a conversation. I don't think either one of us owns it. Like, there's always like, what do we think about this collectively before it gets like the A-okay, no matter who's animating it. So it's kind of like, it's definitely a partnership in that way.
Speaking from like start to finish, I noticed you guys put out there was like an animatic sort of commercial, sort of animatic, like start to Coach Noble, and then it was lost in transmission. What was the process in between that? Did you have like initial like sketch idea that you just put out and then we're like, all right, let's make this another episode, or did you create that character first and then it turned into that?
Jared sent me that character, like, this is the pitch, this is what I want to do. And just like, it just reminded me of such a like public access commercial type of thing that I was like, oh, it'd be cool. And like at the time I was starting to get into like some like analog video equipment stuff, just like random kind of, I'm sure like a TikTok thing or something like that, right? And I was like, and I've been wanting to do that, and I've been wanting to kind of play with that. So I was like, well, what if we did like you know, like the bunny ears or kind of a thing, or picking up two channels and they're interfering, but then they actually start kind of like turning on each other type of a thing. And then once we started doing it, it ended up being more of like because we were doing everything on like, I would record everything on to 2 VHS tapes and like mix between the two. And that's how we were getting a lot of those.
Oh shit.
Things.
Interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's way
cool.
cooler than I thought you were doing. I thought you were just putting some filters and shit on it, but
I had
holy
to put it in there because it was like, that's pretty easy. We just do it with After Effects. I'm like, I actually didn't.
Holy shit, my bad.
Honestly, it showed. It showed. It was very cool looking. Very cool. And it sounded super cool too. Like
that is all Jared and Josh.
All right,
Jared and Josh. That I only did the video. They did all the audio, and they made that really sell for sure.
But there was some cool like our sound artifacts in when he was going back and forth that we ended up actually repurposing and like layering to really kind of sell like big. That was more in effects that didn't have to do with the glitches, but it still made some really cool noises.
So from concept to like actually inception and putting that on YouTube, what was the timeline? How long did that take you? Normal amount of time.
Normal. A few things were happening right then. We were still in the process of figuring out how to do Hoos, and when that was happening, we actually, after the pitch process, after we got our last no, and we were like, let's just not wait to hear if we're going to get another one, let's just move forward so we can make the next thing. We ended up redoing some of that script, so Danny was animating that in the beginning of this process. So basically a lot of the coach stuff got animated really early on. I'm super new to animation. The first thing I animated was like in 2001. And that was a short called Desolate John, and super simple. Like I think it's like 3 minutes long or something.
2021.
Yeah, sorry,
Right.
2021.
Yeah.
When the
Where does
towers fell.
Yeah.
Brand new.
Not that far. I would definitely. I don't know.
He's still green, guys.
Yeah.
Where does that exist so people can see it? Does it exist online anywhere or no?
That's on my channel. We probably should link everything from whatever what so people can see it a little bit easier. Yeah, but so that's on my YouTube channel. But basically, I'm so new to it where I'm okay with not knowing and things being a little janky, and then just being like, I'm new, it's fine. Whereas Danny's been drawing forever, and he is definitely way more of the perfectionist visually in our duo. And so by the time I got done with mine, he just got done with the concept for the therapist, which looked awesome. And at this same time, you just, I think, did you animate Hoos and Toon Boom?
Mm-hmm.
So that was his first project with Toon Boom too. So this would be the second. So there's still some quirks and like some like, oh, I can do the rig better this time. I mean, you could speak better to this. So that was just a process. That took, so by the time we start to finish, I'd say about a year. It wouldn't have taken that long if it wasn't for a lot of different personal life factors and whatnot. And during that time,
for two people, that's not bad at all. That sounds
pretty good. Oh, at least in my eyes.
Well, I mean, I know there's other people involved, but I mean, it's primarily you two, right?
Yeah. And during that time, it's like we were working on braces in the background, so there was other things happening, but writing takes a lot less time than animating in a like writing. Danny and I could like text back and forth, and that's a writing session. Whereas animating, it's like you got to sit there for 12 hours, build a rig. It sucks. You take it apart, you do it again, and so it's like it just takes a lot more set time.
So Danny, you guys were just mentioning how you switched over to Toon Boom. You obviously must have been animating in something before that. Why did you make the switch? And tell us if it's better or worse, or what you find between the differences.
I was using Flash before that, or Animate. And like I tried a couple of things. I did like a little bit of After Effects with like Duik, and then I switched to Flash, so I was like having a better time drawing in the thing. But Flash had crashed so many times. I would lose like countless hours so many times that I was just maddened by it. And at the time I was working a gig where it was kind of nice. Like I had this job where they had no idea what they wanted to do with us, but they're giving us like, full-time salary. So I was just left to kind of figure out this whole new art form, which was, golden years. It's gone now, but, so when I switched to Harmony, I was able to afford it, and it was a pretty steep learning curve, especially like the node system at first, but it's so much better. It's, super stable, and just the kinds of things you can kind of do with it are in terms of like building out their rigs or the camera tool or the like just in-house compositing tools. I love it. I swear by it at this point. It is easy to get lost in the weeds sometimes. I will say with like Flash, I maybe was able to animate a little bit faster, not because it is, any less like, Harmony, I could do the same thing, but you just kind of make incremental sacrifices to be like, oh, this would be cool, and then suddenly you created a monster.
We currently work in Animate. I would love to learn Toon Boom, but I'm deep in a Blender hole right now trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
So, have you guys worked?
We're Jared and I are flirting with the idea too, just especially for like dynamic backgrounds, and using that pencil stuff seems just awesome.
Plus, it's free. Like, how much
you can't beat that.
Yeah, right.
So when watching your guys' stuff, it definitely has specifically with the humor and conversational like humor, it has like certain vibes that remind me of other things, but I would like to hear from you guys first. Do you have any inspiration?
When you said home movies, that was a jackpot.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like home movies, Dr. Katz is like gold star. It was the thing that got me into animation. There's like that, and like, did you ever see that HBO cartoon Animals?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's just like that's the kind of thing where it's just like, oh, I could do that type of a thing, but the delivery mechanism it really works. The conversation and the slice of life stuff of like, especially like Dr. Katz and home movies. I was like, I love that, especially like in my early days, but it just maintains throughout for sure for me.
Have you ever seen Life and Times with Tim?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
dude.
Also love it.
Okay.
10-year-old Tom is also fantastic.
Yes, 10-year-old Tom.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Gigantic fan.
okay. Yeah, because it definitely shines through. It's very I don't know. It's hard to put in a box, but it definitely gives me the same humor, which is it's a compliment. I fucking love that.
Yeah,
shit,
yeah.
so.
Well, we found it. I think we found 10-year-old Tom first. Like it just popped up on
Oh, really?
HBO.
Yeah.
And then we retroactively watched the older stuff, kind of a thing. But I didn't know anything about him at all. So that just kind of slipped beneath my radar. But we found 10-year-old Tom, and I was like, dude, this is awesome. Other than the fact that it's like kind of the thing I'm trying to do here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what are you guys currently working on?
We have two things. Jared's working on something, and I have I'm wanting to try like a single camera type comedy, like a mockumentary style type of a thing, and see what that would look like. I don't know if you guys ever saw like Frisky Dingo.
Yeah.
Way back. So like kind of like in that, but my illustration style. About like these monsters that are living in like a rehabilitation home type of situation. It's basically just like a huge roommate situation.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what? Any idea on when people could see that?
Absolutely no idea.
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
I can't ever
anywhere
figure these
from
things out.
Right.
it's like 2 months to a year, basically.
Yeah.
Just
It'll
depending.
be my magnum opus.
That actually, like, the cool thing about the thing Danny's I'm still honestly trying to figure out what I want to animate next. But the cool thing about what Danny's working on, and this is just a testament to like you write things and you're not sure what's going to happen with them, and then eventually, like years later, they'll come back. Because when we were developing, right before we were developing Who's, the idea for the show that Danny's going to start animating was getting kicked around. So that was 2020-ish, which is crazy. Just from because we were just lock up just like everybody else and just on the phone constantly talking.
Yeah, even that that little like the Titan bear thing in the Who's that the village lives upon, like the early concept drawings of that was like, oh, this would be a cool little character in this other thing where there's like these little people that live on it and like, but they all exist as one character. And then it just kind of got out of hand. I was like, let's do a fantasy.
Yeah, drawings will pivot story quick. It's like, this was fun, but I just drew this and now I just can't get out of that world. So we're just going to go there now.
Yeah. Too much time to just mull ideas around when you're just drawing for countless alone hours.
Yeah. So we do like to close out most shows by asking our interviewers this question. So we'll ask it to each of you individually, or you can answer individually. But what cartoons, comics, books are you currently watching and consuming right now?
I mean, right now I'm reading Kafka on the Shore, which is very heavy, not fun. I just finished Scavengers Reign, which was a blast. Absolutely loved it. I can't wait till... I don't know if they've announced the second season, but they should definitely be getting a second season at this point.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt.
Agreed.
Yeah, and then other than that, just picking at stuff. Oh, I just started Deadwood again. Because I have to I'm back in the drawing phase. And I was like, I need something I've seen before, but like I can just hear the dialogue and have fun.
Sure.
And so Deadwood is back on the radar. I'm having such a blast. It's so good to be back.
If you want to have a real blast, take a shot every time you hear the word cocksucker. You are going to be blind drunk in 15 minutes.
What about you, Danny? What are you watching, consuming right now?
I mean, I watched Scavengers Reign, and I was filled with equal parts like, wow, what a beautiful thing, and just absolute like imposter syndrome. Like, how the hell was this made?
Dude, same. It's like, what the fuck, man? I feel like inadequate after watching that. Like, what the fuck?
I'm like trying to keep my hands on the wheel, like, stay the course, old boy. It's okay. Other people can succeed and you can just still keep working at it. And then to kind of get my head into the spooky thing, I've been kind of cracking open some Hellboy comic books.
Cool.
Mike Mignola.
Right up Mick's alley.
That's my guy.
Yeah,
That's
hometown
my
here,
guy.
Portland, Oregon, baby.
Love it.
Hell yeah.
Well, once again, Jared, Danny, we'd like to thank you guys for joining us on Toon Talk TV. We will be sure and link all your stuff in the description below. Again, thanks for watching the show. Be sure and like, follow, and subscribe. Go check out Jared and Danny's stuff, whatever what. Go to the Patreon page, patreon.com/wearethetelevision. Buy yourself a mug. Drink some booze out of it. It's great. And thanks again, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, boys.
Yeah.
We are the television.